Yo, coming to you live from World Championship in San Jose. Welcome to the Living Legends podcast.
Okay. I mean, either way, we should tell everyone about the ordeal that we have just gone through. It was like 20-minute ordeal.
Just the fun of having to get a new microphone. I was telling Az, the reason that I even have a new microphone is my other one just broke, just stopped working.
Oh,
God, yeah.
I didn't even realize it was a new mic. I thought it was just your old mic.
Yeah, no, it's this one, the one that like lights up and stuff. It just no longer lights up or is like acknowledged by my computer anymore. Just randomly one day I tried swapping out the cables, tried all my different ports, and I don't know.
Yeah, so for the viewers behind the scenes now that are listening to this, we just had at least a 20 to 25 minute ordeal of Bill's microphone just basically just going down to 1% volume,
fading away to nothing apparently.
Absolutely.
I am back, and now everybody can hear my beautiful voice.
Yeah.
So we probably aren't keeping the first intro, so I'll go through it again. Welcome, everyone, to the Living Legends podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Flesh and Blood related. We talk about all facets of the Flesh and Blood trading card game. I am the host for today, just dripping in professionalism. My name is Bill from the Spike Feeders, and joining me as always, we have Az from Go Again Gaming.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of an ordeal to get to where we are today. However, we have got some good stuff to talk about, and I've had a great week. We'll get to that in a bit. But there's loads of good stuff to come out, loads of good stuff to talk about. And Outsiders is very close by, right around the corner.
So excited for Outsiders. We were just talking about that, but
we'll talk about it again.
Yeah, the sheer excitement and energy that people have for Outsiders is feels unmatched for any other set that's come out. And I know people always get hyped about sets and people are always pumped, but this one specifically, I don't know what it is. I think it does have something to do with the way that they're doing it right now, where it's kind of a drip feed of stuff coming up into the actual official spoiler season.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely talk about that more after I introduce our second co-host, rounding out the trio of the Living Legends.
The boys.
I am.
We also have Kel.
Absolutely moist in professionalism.
Ooh, moist, what a great word.
I've been saving that ever since Bill said he was wet with professionalism.
Hey, I said I was dripping.
Dripping in professionalism. I am
saturated.
Moist in professionalism. How's it going, everyone? This is going to be a fun week. We got some cards to talk about. We got some news. We have a recent James White interview to kind of comb through. There's some exciting stuff to talk about. Worlds, we want to get Bill's opinion on Worlds because he wasn't here last week. So we'd like to get his opinion on that. And it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one.
Oh, yeah. It always is, baby.
Yeah, it has been a fun one so far. We had already chatted for, I think, about a half an hour.
It was like 40 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, but
I reckon we should leave those technical difficulties in because Kel was recording the whole time.
I was. You could hear Bill sound like a robot, yeah.
Just a pure. You could just see. You can just hear the whole podcast of how it just devolved and devolved until we just couldn't hear Bill anymore.
Unironically, this is what we need a Patreon for. That's the type of stuff that we can put as locked Patreon content. And that'd be really funny. But if there is something that I said during the technical difficulty period that I don't know is actually going to make its way into the final cut, but just in case it doesn't, I do want the record to show. I mentioned that at Bitchy Velour, Carolina is very excited for her card, and it just warmed my heart how excited she was. And just because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. Personally.
Nice.
Absolutely. She's one of the premier Flesh and Blood cosplayers. I think she sweeps every event that she goes to.
Yeah.
Her absolutely crushes it.
She has Genderbent Chain
and Oldhim.
And Oldhim. Yeah, that's her newest one. And they are both just phenomenal.
She did Exude Confidence as well before.
Yes, she did.
Originally, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the lead up to that one too, where she was actually showing off the like how she was making the swords. She had she had to carve them out of the foam or whatever, and she was like, "This was a nightmare."
Notedly, she and I are officially friends because she tweeted a thing about like, I don't know, friends or something, and I was just like, I don't know, and I posted like a GIF, and she was like, "Please be friends with me," and I'm like, fine. I'll be friends if I have to.
That's
no.
Very funny. But yeah. Anyway, let's get into talking about the cards for today, because that's honestly something that I'm really excited to do, and we had been leading up to it at this point for now like an hour and a half. So
before we do that, I do want to go over a week in Flesh and Blood. I know Az just said that he had a good week, so we can do that real quick before I pull up the spoilers here.
All right, yeah. So there was obviously we're speaking about this prior to the issues, I think, but yeah, there was the spoiler season has pretty much started with obviously some of the cards being like taken pictures of and stuff, and it's getting fed out through the events as well, and it's good to see that people are. Oh, you can see them on the screen now. Is that what you're doing? The gestures? Fantastic.
Oh yeah, you can see like the card in a sleeve and a top loader on a table. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look close enough, you can see the person's phone taking the picture as well, which is a great 4D experience for the viewers.
Yeah.
High quality.
But yeah, so as Bill was saying as well, with regards to Caroline and getting hyped, I was getting hyped as well because I made a teaser video for my card, which had some great reception, and I think I did a really, really good job on it. Just try to make it like a bit of a sitcom-esque sort of style thing. So if you haven't checked it out at this point, it's on there now. But yeah, really, really proud of that, and can confirm that there is going to be another quiver coming out next week on the 5th of March, which is what I'm going to be spoiling, and it is a legendary as well.
Yeah.
So it's a legendary quiver.
Crazy.
So which is pretty mental.
That's really exciting. That's really, really exciting. And I do want to say, if you haven't watched it, don't just take Az's word for it. It's very good. You should go watch it. Like, it's not super long, so it's not gonna take up too much of your time, and it's like just really fun. Like, I thought you guys did an absolutely fantastic job. So. Yeah,
Jim is just a pure method actor of a disgruntled Azalea player.
That's like, if anyone knows Jim, if you've hung around with Jim for any amount of time, I've spent a lot of time traveling with him to a lot of these events. That's exactly how Jim is. Like, it doesn't feel like he's acting. Like, that's just how Jim is, and so I think he did a fantastic. You guys both did a fantastic job. So yeah.
And the next one, so when the spoiler actually happens as well, it's going to be a continuation of that scene as well. So it's going to be like a couple of weeks later, etc. So there's going to be a scene 2 as well. So yeah, very much looking forward to getting that out. Jim's already sent me the footage. So but yeah, building hype is all part of the spoiler season now, and we are seeing these drip fed things coming through, whether that's through videos like I've done or just people taking pictures at events. I think we spoke about it before we actually clicked record, but it's nice to see that events are if you go to an event now, people are going to start expecting these cards to show up. So it just encourages people to go to the vendors, to have a look through the folders to see if they can find anything. If spoiler season's around the corner, that obviously feeds into people maybe buying stuff at a vendor or an artist booth. So I think the way that they're doing it is good. It's like a sense of discovery as well. It's like when someone pulls the first Fabled of the set, that sort of experience. We keep saying about it. The first, because you was it Vegas? You said, Cal, where someone pulled the caution.
Yeah, it was the first big calling in the U.S. There was like some smaller ones before that, like a year or so before, but with the first big calling Las Vegas, the world premiere event of Tales of Aria. No one knew what the spoiler was, or no one knew what the Fabled was at all, and everyone was opening their sealed pools for the world premiere event. And you just hear I think it was on the first pack or the second pack that I was opening, you hear, "Ah!" And then like did you see someone in the back? Like I was on one side, someone in the far distance just standing up, holding it like Link had just opened up an item in a treasure chest.
Yeah,
and he's just like holding it up, and everyone just cheers, and it was like. I have never experienced anything like that in card games in my life, and I've been playing card games since 1995, and it was just like this amazing, like electric moment. Like it's so
Mm.
cool. Like it's so cool, and like I love like the Flesh and Blood doesn't spoil all like the fables. Like this is a typical thing. They never do it. They always leave some cards to be discovered, and
Exactly. Yeah.
I love how like Az was saying, they're kind of drip feeding us now, at least for this one, where like I think it's really cool for people like going to the events. Like, so you go to the event and then you could see a brand new card, see it in person, and like look at it. Maybe even pick up an artist proof like at the artist alley, like Mark Poole had for the quiver. But
Yeah.
like it's also cool for people who don't go to the event, right? So you still have something to look forward to, like that's tertiary to the Flesh and Blood, like the event, right? So like
Mm.
folks like us who didn't go to the Auckland calling, we still get to see all these cool spoilers that we're going to talk about today.
Exactly.
And I think it's
Yeah.
just a huge win-win for the whole community, and I think it's a really smart way to do it.
Yeah.
To kind of like keep people interested and keep up the hype before spoiler season, which is admittedly very short this time. It's only like 3
Mhm.
days.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
it's
it's a
just
little,
the
little weird, but
March 4th, 5th, and 6th.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
And for the listeners out there, since we're mentioned that, when is everyone's spoiler here? Because all three of our respective individual channels will have previews. Mine is
That's right.
on March 4th at 1 p.m. PST. So I'm doing 1 p.m. PST. I figured that's a good balance between folks who live in New Zealand and folks who live in other countries. It's going to be a little bit later. So like 1 p.m. for Az is, a little bit later in the day. But I
Yeah.
figured that's a decent medium time. That's not going to be like, 4 a.m. for most people. I mean, it's going to be for some people, but like,
Yeah.
it hits like a decent amount. New Zealand folks, the Americas, and then Europe. So hopefully that's good. When are you guys spoilers going to be live?
I was just looking mine up because I had forgotten, but it's basically any day on March, or any time of day at March the 5th
Oh, sweet.
is when we're allowed to spoil ours.
Cool.
So
We can maybe schedule something. Mine's going to be at 1. So like if you guys want to put yours right after it, I can like, or before it, like we can like promote each other and be like, oh, check out the other one. We'll talk.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've scheduled mine for 11 a.m. GMT, which is that would be like proper early morning for you. That'd be like 5 a.m. like something like that. That's the fifth as well. Mine is, I think, March the 5th. Yeah, the Sunday, next Sunday. So yeah, I'll schedule mine for 11 a.m. GMT on Sunday.
I'm sorry. Mine's on the 4th, not the 5th. 4th.
Yeah. I was thinking that, but yeah. Because I think they said that they're doing it like for like classes for each day. I think that's what they said in their last email. Like each day has a different class. I don't know,
Okay.
but I could be chatting
Okay.
garbage. But
maybe.
But yeah, it's gonna be good. Gonna be good fun.
I'm just sitting here looking at the sort of main art that they send with our card on it, and just looking again at how I think that this card is like just surprising.
I
Yeah.
can't say too much, but I cannot wait to talk about what I have to reveal. I have so much to say. I can't say too much, but my week, just to cover it quickly, real quick. My week in Flesh and Blood has been working on my preview video. I have been like busting my butt. Spent many dozens of hours already. I taught myself how to animate images. I kind of leveled up in Photoshop, and I'm applying a lot of the skills that I've gotten before to this particular video. Skills with the special effects that I've been doing for my videos that I've already been doing, and then adding that in with the animations that I'm learning how to do. And I think it's really, really, cool. And I really hope other people think it's cool. Because
Well, you've shared a little clip of the animations in this group chat, and it looks really, really cool, really immersive, like lots of layers going on. So yeah, definitely look forward to that. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm going big for this one, and you'll see why on March 4th. 1 p.m. PST.
Oh yeah, baby.
Check it out.
We're screaming towards that too. Like it's
Yeah.
It's so close, man.
when I had to look to see like when ours was, I was like, oh, it's not until the 5th, and then I opened up the calendar. I'm like, that is a week and
That's
1 day
next week. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The spoilers start officially literally a week from right now. Mine,
Yeah.
the way I like to do it is not to give too much away. I won't put my premiere out because the thumbnail and the name will spoil it until midnight of that day, right? Like the earliest. So you'll see all the hubbub on midnight on the 4th. All the hubbub.
Nice.
So I'll be doing a premiere at 1:00. So yeah.
And just a bit of future proofing as well with regards to the next podcast. What we're probably going to be doing is we're probably going to wait to record the next podcast until we've seen basically all the spoilers over the weekend as well. Yeah. So we can chat about maybe our favorite ones or something. You don't want to cover all of them probably, but
I imagine the next podcast after this one will likely be just a general outsiders discussion. I imagine. That's what it'll be. We'll probably record on the Monday or something like that after all the spoilers have gone live, and we'll probably just talk about a bunch of stuff. I'm sure we have 3 brand new heroes. We have new, support for the 3 returning heroes. I'm sure we'll have a lot to say. So
exactly, yeah.
The next episode of the podcast is going to be real spicy. It's just going to be all new stuff. Though not to say this one's not. We still have to talk about the James White interview. There's some really interesting things there. And we have these spoiler cards that you can kind of see here that were taken with not quite a potato, but maybe like a microwave or something. A little bit of
a toaster.
I mean, smart microwaves these days. You can tweet from them, so
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. That's insane. Yeah.
But yeah, so did we want to talk about the James White interview first, or did we want to talk about cards first?
Sure. I think the James White interview is likely a shorter discussion because it's just kind of like a bunch of bullet points to hit.
Just a couple of cool bits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was with Fluke and Box, Australian fella, lovely bloke, I made a few notes on this, so I can sort of lead with this one. But a few things that I picked up on, and Kel, I know you might have picked on a few extra things that I didn't pick up on. Yeah. I think the ultimate goal is to have 4 sets per year and have them all draftable if possible. They did say that they're going to do at least 3 in 1. Is it?
Yeah. So he said literally next year they're going to have 4 sets, and it's likely going to be 3 draft sets and 1 supplemental set. But they want to get to the point where they can do 4 draftable sets a year.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that makes sense to me in terms of like development time wise, because it's it's definitely more difficult to design a draft set because you have to balance all the cards and everything. You can't just be like, "Oh, here's some cards." So that makes sense to me as as their team grows, as they get better at it, and that's probably just really good for everyone because in my opinion, like I love limited. That is like just how I feel. But in my opinion, I also think it's an incredible way to just play any card game because it is the great equalizer, right? Limited,
that's right, yeah.
Especially draft, is almost all skill. There's a little bit of luck in what packs you open or whatever, just in terms of that. But you don't need to have all the expensive cards. You don't have to have a Heart of Fiendel. You don't have to have a Tunic. You don't have to have anything. You can literally just show up with your skills and play, and you have the same footing as anyone else. So I really, really love limited. It's one of my favorite ways to play any card game. And so 4 draftable sets a year is incredible. So once we can get to that point, I think it's just going to be awesome. Because I'll be honest, I mean, it can get a little stale every now and then. Like if you're in that period where you just had a supplemental set, and you have a draft set, but you have another supplemental set. There's these dead time periods with like kind of dead air, right? Where like you've drafted Uprising like people right now, you probably drafted like Uprising a lot, and people are hungry for a new set. So yeah,
that's the thing though. What happens to the quote unquote supplementary set, because you can't really draft them? Well, you could, but it's more like chaosy, isn't it? Like
yeah.
strange draft environment if you try and include those packs.
Well, so it's interesting to think about the supplementary set thing, because that's another thing that James White mentioned with the next set, the next supplementary set, because it feels like they're going to be changing how they, well, at least for the next one, how it functions, because every other supplemental set we've had support for every single class, right? Up to, the time period, right? But it sounds like that's not going to be the case with the next one, or at least that's not the focus. So I have a feeling that supplemental sets, or expansion sets, as they're calling them, are going to be different moving forward, starting with the next one. Hopefully, that also means that they have other avenues of doling out general support for all the classes, maybe through other starter products like classic battles, or something like that. So yeah, do we want to talk about what James said about the next set, because I think it's actually very exciting.
It all feeds into each other, doesn't it? Really. So
yeah, I mean, James literally said the next set that's coming out is his most anticipated Flesh and Blood set, which says a lot. I mean, obviously, he loved. He's the creator of Flesh and Blood. He loves the game. He lives and breathes the game, quite literally, and he's probably excited for all the sets. But he said this is the one he's looking forward to the most, and that it will give direct support for what was his wording, like for needed classes or needed archetypes or something like that. He was pretty vague on it, so he didn't clarify whether it's class support or talent support or both. But I have a feeling that they're going to be giving needed support to underpowered archetypes. I'll say archetypes. Personally, I expect to see a new mech hero and some mech support, because we literally only have one mech for CC. I also imagine we'll see possibly support for talents like the Shadow talent, specifically for like Levia and maybe like Bolton for light. So it's going to be really interesting. And he said it was like very spicy. He says it's going to be a set that people are going to love, and he like talked it up like a lot. So
yeah, well, it's like his favorite hero, and I like Bill as well. His favorite hero is Prism, right? That's what he said. That's what he said at Worlds, wasn't it? Or was it?
Kano is his favorite to play, I believe. That's what he says. But he also really loves Prism. Which is
so that could also hint towards the fact that there's going to be. Yeah, exactly.
So
we could hope so.
We could see we could see new replacements for the living legend heroes, which would be sweet. So that would be well, I don't know if we need a replacement for Starvo, but for Chain and Prism, definitely, because literally Shadow Runeblade and Light Illusionist cards are unplayable right now in CC. And then possibly even Young Viserai, because Young Viserai is a living legend in Blitz. So like
it's true. Just have like a basically blank Young Runeblade,
I mean, it could be a new take on the characters too, because he talked about this in the interview. He talked about Kasai specifically, because Fluke asked, like, could we see more Kasai? And he said yes, but not with the same abilities. Likely a new version. And so I think this leads to the fact that they're very willing to print multiple versions of the same hero, which I think is good, because first of all, you have player attachment to the character, right? People who love Prism, and for good reason. Prism is awesome. But also, it doesn't make their specializations obsolete, right? So you can still use, and even though to my chagrin, you could still use Arclight Sentinel, So yeah.
He's gone. He's gone to the pits.
For the audio listeners, Az has walked off screen. So yeah, which I think is really good. I think it's good for multiple reasons. I do like the cool off period, right? So like if the hero's super oppressive and then they get Living Legend, then you have a cool off period in that format where you don't really have to like stress about playing against that character, right? But they can
worry about it quite as much.
Yeah, but they could come back, as in a new form, and people who are big fans of that could play their new version and that kind of stuff. I think it's actually a really smart design overall, and definitely looks like they're going that way. So I would, if we're gonna see replacements for Chain and Prism, I expect to see new versions of those characters, with different abilities. So like maybe ones that aren't as busted. What worries...
It kind of fixes that as well, doesn't it? Like if they do like a supplementary set that is like focused on maybe a couple of heroes that have living legended last year or something, it gives you a way to focus on a couple of heroes and still potentially make it draftable. If you're honing in on certain things that need support as such, you can still make it draftable with those archetypes that are currently suffering, perhaps.
I think that's their long-term goal. We know for sure the next set is not draftable. It's just going to be like a typical style supplemental set, but it does sound like they want to focus specifically on. He said a couple like archetypes, or I don't remember his wording exactly, but it did not sound like we would get the same sort of widespread support like the previous. We still might. Like I could definitely see a situation where it's. You know how we had Arachne and a bunch of assassin cards in Dynasty? I could see a situation where we have like a bunch of main support for like 3 or 4 things, and then like a couple scattered little bits. So like Warrior gets like 2 cards, and Wizard gets like 2 cards or whatever. But like
I wouldn't hate that.
Shadowbird gets a bunch.
Yeah, just have like you still have support for every hero, but it's not necessarily like especially for right now, Rune Blades. Has been the meme, and now I think the meme is evolving into ninjas.
Wizard, Ninja, Runeblade. If you play the competitive scene, these are like all over.
They could pull back on just having the same amount of support for those heroes. Still have 1 or 2 things like a new specialization or whatever. But not necessarily flesh them out as much as they have been. I think that would be probably better, because then it would just still feel more. It would get them into a point where they can start to make it a little bit more even in terms of what classes have had how much support.
It's like, especially Ninja, because we literally are having a set come out with more Ninja support. So maybe Ninja can we had
cool off.
We had a main set that had a ninja, and then we had a supplemental set right after that had more ninja stuff, and now we're having a third set in a row with ninja stuff again. And I do understand that
no new hero at least.
Eat it. No new hero, so that's kind of nice. But like previous to Uprising, Ninja and Mechanologist were both in sort of the same class of was printed back in the day and has not gotten upgrades since.
More or less.
So Ninja did need it. So I'm not actually complaining about that, because they just hadn't gotten that for a while. But it does feel like now, if they do print another supplemental set and there's just more Ninja and more Runeblade stuff in it, that they're just going to continue to be that much farther ahead instead of maybe pulling back and bringing up some of the other people. So I think that's probably a good way to do it.
It does feel like they're doing that with Outsiders too, right? Because if you look at the competitive meta, and this may or may not have been by design, but on the lower rung, we have Arachne and Azalea, so basically Assassin and Ranger on the lower tiers, right? With the fewest amount of living legend points, Levia's down there too. But we now have a set that just is very focused on these 2 classes. And I feel like the logical step would be to do that for the other ones. So we're talking Levia, Bolton, maybe the return of some Mech in particular. Mech is already good, Dash, but giving Mech more options for different styles of gameplay, I think would be awesome and important. Because currently,
just a new hero, that's not Dash.
New hero and new options. Maybe finally new Mech card types. Reactions at all, because they don't have any reactions at all. No. So I think that could be really cool and likely. It could be both cool and likely.
And speaking of heroes, speaking of absolute heroes, so I left a message on Fluke's his thing saying, "What would you ask James?" and I asked James about this. The history pack art, dictates all these characters coming together, in presence of like a god or a figure. And I asked James whether there'd be like an Avengers style of event where they all come together to fight an evil or something, and he just responded, "Hold my beer."
Yes. Yes.
That's what he responded to that question. I was like, "Hold my beer." That was it.
This is something that we talked about in a previous episode, and this is literally something that Steven, DM Armada, and I predicted long time ago. Like,
Nice.
This is something we talked about, and it's just kind of this general feeling that we got, like, reading the lore, that, like, it really feels that they're setting up for, like, this big event where all of the heroes from all of the regions of Wraith come together and fight against, like, the old gods or the Aesir or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's really what it feels like, because we're crawling to all of these different major regions of the world. And if I was a betting man, I would bet after we go to all of the regions individually, then we have like a big event. And then maybe we can revisit some of the regions and, in the aftermath or whatever. But it really feels like, hey, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. And then they're taking all aspects from these regions, and we'll see them all come together, even if they are, opposed to each other. Because this is something that James mentioned too. Like, all their heroes, they're not, all the characters in Flesh and Blood, they're not all traditionally like good heroes. They all have different goals, and they all think they're doing the right thing. No person thinks they're the evil person, except unless you're insane.
Yeah.
Like, no one does what they're doing thinking they're evil. Like Chain, for example. Chain, from most people's perspective, is a bad guy. Like, he's doing not great things, but from his perspective, he is saving the world. So I think they're going to do this thing, and maybe it'll force characters like Chain to like team up with characters like Dorinthia or Bolton, and they have to fight alongside each other begrudgingly against a force like much greater than them.
Yeah, that's how you tell good stories, isn't it? That's what the probably the old sort of Marvel films did, is they built up the characters individually, in their different backgrounds and stories and what have you. And then when they all did come together, all that sort of work they put into Flesh and Blood. In this instance, we visited Aria now, we visited Volcor now, we visited the pits now. So as long as we flesh out all those different locations,
we get 3 more. I think it's why, to talk a little bit of Marvel, I think it's why Civil War was so interesting, and a lot of people really like Marvel Civil War, because you have the characters that are opposing each other, but all of them think they're doing the right thing, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that just makes for good characters and like interesting storytelling.
Yeah, well, because then you can assign an actual like motive to each person, instead of just being like, this guy's evil and wants to kill the world. Like, even Thanos, who's the biggest bad that existed because he wanted to kill half the universe, like did have an ethos. He had a reason for wanting to do it that wasn't just, I want to kill half of the universe. It's like, we're running out of resources. This is the way that I think we'll be able to fix it. Like, is it a bad ethos? Yes, but he thinks that he's doing the right thing. So
exactly,
and it's just like as well. Like, I absolutely love comparing it to films. So I'm a big film nerd. But it's also the that's how you make a great villain as well. Like when Thanos is battling Iron Man and like the Guardians and stuff on the Titan, which is on Avengers Infinity War. There's a moment when he's like, oh yeah, Tony Stark, I know who you are. It's like he's got respect for these other characters, but he's just that's his motive that doesn't click with everybody else. But he's still that's what makes a great villain, I think. So it's definitely.
Yeah, being connected to the world and like actually being an active participant within it, not just bad guy gets placed here, roll for initiative.
Roll for initiative. Yeah. Cast fireball. Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. So I think it'll be really interesting to see, because I think a lot of people already, I mean, we've mentioned this a million times just about the design of Flesh and Blood in general, but people love latching onto the heroes and having like these, they see a hero and they make a connection with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
being able to see, Dorinthia like take up her Dawnblade to fight against this huge evil next to like Rhinar, the one deck that you hate playing against the most, or whatever it is, and being like, no, we're actually working together in this story arc, like that. I don't know. It feels kind of cool.
Like I'm just picturing like, Lexi and Azalea both like firing like arrows and stuff. It's gonna be sweet,
like
man.
back to back.
Oh yeah,
dude. Like all the characters who like even characters like you said. I think Rhinar and Dorinthia is like a really cool one because we have.
Well, they fought in classic battles.
The classic battles, yeah. And even though they might have like beef, they need to like fight the
Yeah.
They need to put it aside, and it's some wartime diplomacy.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And I want to mention something because in my Discord, in the Living Legends section of my Discord, someone was like, "Oh, you guys are right. They are going to do an Avengers style thing." And this person also guessed that it might be for like PvE. That might be PvE.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I don't think it's PvE. It could be, but I'll tell you why I don't think PvE. I think PvE is going to be more of an exploration of the entire world of Flesh and Blood. Whereas this seems like an event that they're leading up to through booster sets, like through the booster set narrative, and then they can control more. PvE feels like a side thing, right? Not like part of the main thing. So that's why I don't think it'll be a PvE. I think PvE is going to be more like an adventure, explore the world of Wraith, diving into the the jungles, the Savage Lands, or going on an adventure in Mysteria, or working blackjack's mercenary board with targets or whatever it is. I think PvE is going to be more like that. And
you can just see like the playmats, so can't you? Like the armory playmats, like as you say, Lexi back to back with Azalea. It's just gonna blow Rangers' minds. Like they're gonna want it, and cause that's a great thing about this game. The way they've set it up is that you are attached, as you said, as Bill said, to certain characters. So it's just gonna,
like Lexi and Azalea, Viscerai and Brian.
Just want to say, just before we move past it too much, if there is a map that has Lexi and Azalea fighting side by side and it doesn't have 2 arsenal zones, I'm dropping this game.
That is,
it really does.
That is a great idea for merch.
Yeah, exactly.
For someone who likes to commission artists to do things. Well,
it could happen.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Well,
anyway,
I think it's awesome, and like the fact that it's definitely going to be a thing is super cool. Like, I really do think like I said, that they're building up to it, and probably not for a while. Actually, now that I think about it, it probably won't happen for a while.
No.
If what I'm thinking is true, like they have to go to all the regions before, because like we talked about this in a previous episode, how each set they hint at the old ones waking up, but through different ways. So like from Uprising, killing the Emperor means that the whispers that he was quelling, the whispers that were coming from underneath Mount Volcor, which is what he was doing, he's the Drakai of Aesir, he's quelling the voice. Now that he's dead, it means that voice can wake up. Small things like that are happening all over the world, and I think that's why they're doing each region. So if we're gonna have to go to each set, then it probably wouldn't be until after next year, or maybe the end of next year, depending on how they do the sets, because they said they want to do 4 sets next year, and that's what this whole discussion started as. They would do 4 sets next year. Which is awesome.
But,
4 sets. I think that's a great amount, by the way. 1 each quarter. Not too much time, only a couple months between the sets, keeps things fresh, but also like not super wallet fatigue like other card games.
Yeah.
Big thumbs up, baby.
Yeah. Okay. So with all of that, there's one final thing that was kind of hinted at in the James White interview, just that the history packs are going to start, I think maybe complete the set of like having Marvel heroes, because they were waiting for 1 additional region, I think is the wording that he used. So potentially now that Japan is now like an official region that they're going to be supporting, the note that Az made in our chat here is Japanese Marvel Prism hinted at. And
Yeah.
if that does end up being a thing, James White officially has ruined me financially.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy.
My weakness.
Bill and
Japanese
I have
cards.
already
Yeah.
Bill and I have already come to an agreement that if he pulls a Japanese Marvel Lexi and I pull a Japanese Marvel Prism, we're just gonna trade straight up.
Just
Like,
swap.
yep, it's going in the mail.
Whoopsie.
Going in the mail immediately.
Don't even have to think about it.
He James more or less confirmed it. He basically said that they didn't put the Marvels in History Pack 2 because the Marvels are kind of a thank you for the community's patience waiting to get it translated into their language. And since they already got that with History Pack 1 for Europe, they would maybe save those for other regions that get translated. And then Flukenbach said like, oh, like Japan, and then James said like, oh, smart man reading between the lines. So like,
Yeah.
he more or less like kind of confirmed it. So and
yeah, that's gonna be
coupled with
sick.
the fact that we literally know that next year we will have Japanese translated cards. They've already said that. They put out a roadmap 2024. They want Japanese translated cards and they want premier events in Japan. So like calling level events, which
This is gonna be bad for me.
yeah.
Not only will I be playing this stupid deck with a Japanese Marvel Prism, I can get Japanese versions of maybe every card in the deck too.
Yeah, boy.
Horrendous. And then when I play Transmogrify, people will be like, "I've never seen that card even in English before. What's it
Yeah,
do?"
what does that do?
Oh, what the hell is that? That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
really excited for that.
Yeah.
And other things that I'm excited about, unless you guys have anything else to mention about that, I personally would like to talk about the spoilers that we've seen up to this point.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me pull them up. Which one do you want to talk about first?
These are basically. I'm just gonna say this now. You know, if I go quiet, it's because these are definitely within you guys' wheelhouse. I haven't played Ninja at all.
Yeah.
So
I do like
certainly
Ninja.
reasonable.
But
yeah.
Bill played more Ninja than I have. I do really like Ninja. Specifically, I really like Katsu and Ira, but Ira's like, you know, I don't want to say
these are sick in Katsu, right? Because obviously the combos and stuff.
I don't want to say Ira's easy mode, but kind of.
Ira's pretty easy mode. She's very streamlined.
Yeah.
You don't have to deviate from a path. You get the game plan, and that's the deck.
Kadachi, a bunch of attacks with Go again, and that's
and
Ira.
then block with 2 cards, do the thing. But yeah, let's talk about these in chronological order, just because I think that'll be the easiest way. That's how they sort of showed up in our internal chat here. So the first one that we saw was from Dragon Shield, if I recall correctly.
That's right, yeah.
And it's the first card that we've seen that's like a really big build around for a very like kind of crazy effect.
Yeah.
I think we may have lost Kel. I think he's frozen.
No. Am I frozen?
I think he has, yeah.
Ah, crap.
I think Kel is frozen. So I'll stop talking.
Or he's just doing a fantastic Walt Disney effect.
Hello?
Oh.
Am I still frozen?
Hello, there we go.
There he is, he's
weird.
back.
It's weird because on mine, not frozen at all. I'm just here. And then like it feels like I'm crazy. Because I'm here, guys. I'm here. And you're like, I think he's just frozen.
I think he's just gone.
He's just Walt Disney. I'm like, I'm not.
Oh, that's definitely got to stay in.
Yeah.
Definitely just wanted to make sure so that that I wasn't just talking and Kel was just sitting there like.
Oh, I think we've lost Kel. Oh, brilliant.
I have pulled up the card that you're talking about though.
Okay.
And you also missed my dog barking too, so that's exciting.
Oh, maybe Discord was just doing us a favor.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah,
Dishonor.
I have pulled it up.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so for people who are watching on YouTube, you can see the card here. For the audio listeners, I'll still be going over it, just so that everybody here is on the same page, and you don't have to just pull something else up on your phone to follow along. So Dishonor was the card that was revealed early by Dragon Shield. It is a majestic ninja attack action. So it only comes in blue. It costs 0 and attacks for 2, blocks for 3, and it has combo. If Bonds of Ancestry was the last attack this combat chain, this has +2 attack, which Bonds of Ancestry we saw last week. I think we had discussed it last week. And basically just a really nice combo enabler to be able to, it gives you the ability to banish an attack from your graveyard to go and find another copy of it.
Yeah, it's crazy,
which is really powerful.
Yeah.
And then Dishonor also says, when this hits a hero, if you control Surging Strike, Descendant Gustwave, and Bonds of Ancestry, that hero loses all abilities for the rest of the game.
Yep.
So move over Sleep Dart. One turn.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This is like permanent Sleep Dart, like Coma Dart.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
Actual Coma Dart. So
this literally just kills certain heroes, right?
It's hilarious. It's interaction with Levia. It just literally just kills her. She's just dead.
You just die. Yeah, just die.
Yeah, it's like the only thing that you can do as Levia is to walk this tightrope of like, okay, if I don't banish a card, then I don't have enough blood debt to kill me right now. And like it is just that very, very like moment to moment. I really need to pay attention here, but this is just like, nah, you die.
You die.
Which is kind of funny because we talked about this a little bit earlier that Levia is maybe not the best deck out there. That's an understatement. Levia is down here in the Arachne and Azalea tier for now.
But yeah, for some people are saying that for such a strong effect, this is very much a build around. Like it is, you have to have attacked with 3 different attacks this turn already without breaking the combat chain, and then attack with this, and then it also has to hit.
Yeah.
So like there is a lot of there are a lot of hoops to jump through. Yeah, a lot of hoops to jump through with this one.
Yeah.
But this was also prior to us seeing 2 additional spoilers that actually make it easier for this to happen, which is
it's a great segue.
Yeah, but before we get to those, I want to mention a couple things about Dishonor real quick. 1, base level, card's great. 0 cost, blue, blocks 3. That's what you want with Ninja. So even if you're not using it for its full potential, it's still a 0 blue, right? So that's like exactly what you want. Exactly what you want for your Kodachis.
To Katsu's ability, it gives Kodachis go again, and it's based power 2, so it can't get blocked by or can't get blocked if you're playing Benji.
Yep. So this card just
its own buff.
Oh god.
But you know, whatever.
Yeah. So this card is like pretty like just like as a person who plays Ninja a little bit, like this card looks like just solid at the base level. And then I also want to point out that the what's the other card called? The Ancestry one, the Bonds of Ancestry, also lets you tutor for stuff. So like the other cards we're going to talk about as well help with this, but like Bonds of Ancestry, the card that immediately that you have to play before this, you could, because this card has combo, you could banish one of these from your bin and then go get one from your deck. So you don't actually even have to have this in your hand. As long as you have one, like
you could block with this early in the game and then go and search up another copy of it when you're ready to fire it off. Like it's the stuff that Ninja is getting right now is very flexible, very toolboxy.
Yeah, so like
exactly what I was looking for.
Because like you look at this, and it is a big ask. You know, you have to have all these cards, you have to do all all of them, but they've made it so you don't have to have them all in your hand or arsenal. Like you could tutor for them, you can have them in your bin. Like there's a lot of different interactions here. We'll talk about some other weird ones that I'm sure Bill's very excited to talk about. But that's my little spiel on this card. I think it's very interesting.
It's even more interesting as well that you say like, oh, it doesn't even have to be a card that you have in your hand. It could be one that's in your it doesn't have to be available. You can tutor it, whatever. Sometimes for some of these cards that we've seen, you don't even have to have the card at all.
Yeah.
Just don't even need it. And the thing that I think sort of exemplifies that the most here is another spoiler that was done by BCG, the grading company.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's called Mask of Many Faces. It's a
Yes.
ninja equipment. It has blade break and 1 defense, and it also has instant one resource to destroy this. Name a card. The next attack action card you play this turn gains that name.
Yeah.
So any card can turn into the combo piece that you need to go into your next thing, which
Yeah.
is very interesting. This is just a common one, so a lot of people are saying, it in like limited in draft. I
Mhm.
think this is like exceptional for you
yeah.
to be able to actually
Smooths
get
everything out. Yeah.
But
100%.
and like the main idea of this is fantastic. I think that's really, really cool. It's another way to make combos just a little bit more fluid. But the first thing that somebody said was, how does this stack up against Mask of Momentum? And it's like, Mask is kind of a messed up card. So
Like,
Yeah.
I think we talked about this like privately yesterday, and I was like, Mask is a card that changes the way both players play the game,
Yeah.
right? It changes the way the ninja plays the game, and it changes the way the opponent plays the game because they have to block certain stuff. Otherwise, the opponent gets to draw cards, which is a huge deal in Flesh and Blood, drawing an extra card for basically free. This card gives you like a one-time cool effect. Mask gives you constant game-changing effect every single turn. So, in my opinion, I don't see this card being played in Classic Constructed unless it's super busted and wins you the game, or puts you so far ahead that it wins you the game. But I do think it's great in Limited, and I do think that it might have a home in like Blitz, where you don't need like 5 to 6 turns of value. You just like blah, 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 blah. Here, now I'm winning. Like
I mean, also Commoner.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, it's
It is a common. That's right.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's actually sick, dude.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
But yeah, it's like Mask of Momentum is kind of, in my mind, one of the best examples of like, in Yu-Gi-Oh how there's field spells.
Yeah.
Mask of Momentum feels like a field spell where it just changes the dynamic of the game. I could go on for hours about how much I love Mask of Momentum. And I've done it before, and I won't right now. But.
It's Mask of Momentum is like one of the few like must-have legendaries for that class. Like sometimes you can you can find a replacement here or there, but Mask of Momentum is like so unique and powerful that it's like, unless it's like I said, you get so far ahead and win with just the card, like Pouncing Links, like Mask of the Pouncing Links can do that. Like it has a one-time effect, but it's so good that it could win you the game.
Yeah, it's a one-time effect that basically says like deal 6+ damage.
Pretty much, yeah. Well,
on a single piece of equipment is crazy.
I just had a thought for Mask of Many Faces. I don't think I'll actually use it, but it's really funny with 100 wins, or 100 wins, and then Winds of Eternity, because Winds of Eternity says it shuffles back all of the 100 wins, so you can turn something that's not 100 wins into 100 wins and then shuffle it back into your deck. Probably not
that's
that good.
Cool.
Probably not that good, but I think it's cool. It could be a way. It could be a way if there's a very powerful like legendary specialization or something. You could turn that into 100 wins and then shuffle it back in or something. Just something for future.
Actually. So very, very funny as well for that idea. If you turn Winds of Eternity into 100 wins, it will shuffle itself on hit into your deck.
Oh, that's so spicy.
Nice.
Oh, that's so... I still think so. For my 100 wins Katsu, I still think I want to run Mask of Momentum, but I do like that. That's awesome.
There's just a ton of weird rules things that have cropped up because of this card, and it's not necessarily that like that this card is gonna make a ton of waves, but I appreciate what it has done to just every judge for this game. You just have to consider situations like somebody asked, I think it was maybe from Twitter, somebody had asked like, oh, with this mask, can you turn one of your attacks, can you name it Crazy Brew and then follow that up with a Life of the Party and destroy the attack that is now named Crazy Brew? And our local judge was like, well, yeah, you control attacks on the combat chain.
Interesting. Can you destroy attacks?
You can, apparently.
Interesting. So
because
a little.
Phantasm, the
Oh,
attack gets destroyed.
You
So
can.
there is precedent.
Interesting.
Oh. So this is a little in the future, but one of the guests that I have lined up for the podcast, post Outsiders, is LSS rules manager and head judge Joshua Scott. And one of the
Nice.
things I kind of want to ask the community is to come up with your craziest judge question for him,
Yeah.
like the weirdest, craziest corner case. And I would love people to come up with something crazy with Mask. I'm also I think one of the questions I want to ask Joshua is just literally like, what's the craziest thing you can think of? Like the most, like
what
crazy
currently exists in the game that basically won't ever come up, but is like weird.
that's possible because there's some weird stuff you can do.
One of our local judges is actually on right now. Like I think he's actually able to review cards from like a rules standpoint before they're released.
Okay, yeah.
So very soon, I think him and actually one of my other friends will. I think they're both on the same like team. They're going to be looking at cards from that sort of perspective. And the one that's local, his name's Grant. All he does is find weird things within the rules that that do work, but like not the way that they're intended to, or just weird ways that because of the way something's worded, it doesn't work. Like I think for a brief moment when they were updating the rules, mentors stopped functioning within the structure
Right.
of the game, as well as what was it? Azalea. The way that Azalea was worded, you could technically stack as many cards within your arsenal as you wanted. If you had your 2 arsenal zones from New Horizons, you could bottom one from one of your arsenal zones and then put the card from on top of your deck into the not empty arsenal zone.
Oh, weird.
So you could stack cards in your arsenal.
Weird.
Oh, I love jamming things in my ass. Null, sorry.
I know you do. And then you love whipping them out and tossing them at people.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway,
some weird stuff. But yeah, come up with stuff like that. We can ask about them.
Yeah. He post Outsiders. So sometime after Outsiders, I'd probably guess like a couple of weeks or so after Outsiders launches. Because I recently talked to him about some questions that I had about my particular preview, and I was like, because it does some stuff that's never happened in Flesh and Blood before. A little bit of a hint. What my card does is unprecedented, and I'm like, I need to know about some things so I'm not misspeaking in my video.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to some weird judge and rules questions, like for sure.
I love it.
This is.
Yeah.
I also want to say that what I really like about this card, other than the effect, because the effect I think is just really cool in general. I love how people got so excited about this card because I think it shows that there's a lot more design space in Flesh and Blood left to explore, like a ton more. Because like just as a little thing like this caused like so much discussion. Some people think this card is like busted or whatever. I don't think it is, to be honest. But I think it's cool. And I just really like it. I don't know. It's just really cool. Also, I think the art is done by Carlos Cruchaga, who does. He's just like got so much like weird and cool art in this set that it'll be fun like flipping through his art. And I won't say any artists now, but I've seen some other art from artists, and it's just so cool. There's so much cool stuff in this set.
It doesn't look like a ninja card, does it? It looks like quite scary, almost. Like it looks like an assassin sort of equipment, really, with the Oni masks and stuff. It just doesn't look like. It looks like proper horror-ish, like many faces sort of situation.
It feels like a mask that the theoretical blue pitch illusionist that like cares about ghostly touch and whatever.
Yeah, it does.
It feels like something adjacent to that.
Yeah,
I think you're
pure ethereal.
I mean, like, Outsiders is definitely leaning in on like horror aesthetics. Because like, if you look at any of the they're not called poxes, but the afflictions like Blood Rat Pox and Inertia and all that kind of stuff, like that's definite like horror genre, like
yeah.
aesthetic, like, and I think this
Yeah.
is like close to that too. Like, this is gonna be a really cool set. If you like that aesthetic, this is gonna
Gotcha.
be probably one of the most metal sets in Flesh and Blood, and that's saying a lot because we had Monarch, and Monarch is like half just pure metal.
Just in the bellows of hell, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah.
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 Nice.
This is less like gross flesh monsters and giant monstrosities, and more like, you know, real world things like,
Yeah,
Just
disease and getting,
true,
stabbed in the neck, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
like true real life horror, which is worse than anything that mankind can fathom.
exactly.
But yeah, outside of that though, two other cool cards
hmm
that we can talk about. The next one up, just chronologically as well, is another ninja attack action, another majestic as well. So we're getting drip fed some cool cards.
hmm
This one is called Head Leads the Tail, which I think you had referenced yesterday, Kel, as like the party bus card.
I mean, I saw this card and I was just like, well, that's a good one for Tiger Katsu. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like I saw this, I tweeted it. I'm like, hey, this is paging, and I added Doa, like the shoutcaster. He's a great dude, but I know he loves Katsu, specifically Tiger Katsu. And I was just like paging Doa, like, this card's kind of gross for Tiger Katsu. And then James White liked the tweet, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is probably very gross in Tiger Katsu.
Well, I mean, so currently for their options, they have Art of Roar, Roar of the Tiger. They have Spreading Flames, or is Spreading Flames Draconic? Spreading Flames is Draconic. Never mind.
It's Draconic, yeah.
Yeah. So they have Art of War, Art of Roar,
Yes.
and that's it. I think.
Yeah,
Are you messing around? There is a card called Art of Raw.
no.
No, it's
Oh,
Roar
right.
of the Tiger, but people call it Art of Roar because
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, Art of Raw, what? Sounds like a
Art of
Scene Kid song, like from the 2010.
Art
of Roar. Yeah. The bunny ears and stuff.
I mean, this card's sweet. Like, this card's really cool. And once again, I mentioned my 100 wins Katsu deck, but I kind of want to play this 100 wins as well. I don't know if it's actually that good, but it would work. It kind of works.
I think it's just good as just like a baseline. Like, it's a version of Spreading Flames that is more widely applicable to ninjas instead of just being a draconic thing. Well, I guess ninjas and illusionists technically.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one I actually really like the fact that it's flexible, that it's just name a card. That card has +1 attack this turn.
Do you want to read it off for the audio listeners?
Yes. Yeah, sorry. So I did kind of just read out what it is, but it is ninja attack action. Head leads the tail. It pitches for red, costs 1, attacks for 3, blocks for 2. It has go again, and it also has when this attacks, name another card. Attack action cards with that name have +1 attack this combat chain. So like I said, very similar to Roar of the Tiger, which gives all of your crouching tigers +1 attack this turn.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're using it in that, you would just name Crouching Tiger. But it is really cool that you could also call 100 wins. There was also somebody that mentioned, like, in Ira, literally what you could just do if you have like a blue to pitch for attacks, you can go Head Leads the Tail, name Command and Conquer, attack with CNC for 8.
Yeah,
because you can. +1 from this and the +1 from Ira's buff. Like, it's flexible. I like it. It's just a baseline 1 for 3 that has a lot of utility.
You can do that with push the point, which is one of my favorite cards. I really love push the point, especially in Ira.
Too, yeah.
So you could Head Leads the Tail. If they let it hit, then you could push the point for an additional like +2 on top of it. So that makes it into a what, like a.
It would be an 8, right? Because I think it's a 1 for 4 that gets +2 if the condition is met, and then it would get another +1/+1.
Yeah.
So another, but that's a 1 for 8 instead of a 2 for 8 with CNC. So
it's pretty good.
Yeah, I really really like this one. I think it is just an immediate buff to Tiger Katsu, to Tiger Swipe decks in general. But it is also like just playable in other decks if that's the type of effect that you're looking for. So really really cool. really excited about that one. And then this last one, which people were not really anticipating, that kind of ties into back to Dishonor to make Dishonor a little bit easier to play as well. Which is Be Like Water. This one's another ninja attack, but it's a common this time. It is, we've seen just the red version, assume it comes in the other two as well.
Yeah.
Costs 0, attacks for 3, blocks for 2. It has Go Again, and when this hits, you may pay 1 resource. If you do, choose Head Jab, Surging Strike, or Twin Twisters. This gains the chosen name.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah,
really interesting.
This can be the stand-in for Surging Strike, because a lot of people were commenting about how they just kind of don't want to play Surging Strike. It's just a 2 for 5.
Yeah.
Not super exciting. So this becomes Surging Strike for 1 resource instead of costing 2. And yeah,
I mean, it's a 0 cost too, so it synergizes with Katsu. The blue versions of this will probably be some of the most played because it synergizes with the Kadachis. It's literally a power creep. Well, it's not really. It's not technically a power creep head jab, because head jab is a head jab for 0. This is a head jab for 1. Like if you want it to be a head jab, so it's not exactly, but it's interesting. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's again though, it's just the flexibility. Like the fact that they're doing that, and then in addition, you can also break Mask of Many Faces to name Descendant Gustwave or Bonds of Ancestry, and then this would then, for 2 resources, qualify 2 of the 3 cards that you need to make Dishonor work, which is hilarious.
Yeah, you could do. I think like a really consistent line for that is you do this, you name Descendant Gustwave, which I don't think we know what it does yet, and then follow this up, since this is both a Descendant Gustwave and a Surging Strike. You follow it up with that other one, the Ancestry one.
Bonds of Ancestry.
Yep, and then hopefully you can go Tutor for the finisher there that we talked about earlier, Dishonor. So like,
just really, really interesting. I'm really appreciating the way that they're doing it. It is like maybe a little bit. I think that Head Leads the Tail is more future proof than Be Like Water is. Because you have 3 very specific card names that are being listed for Be Like Water, which makes sense for the context now, but just like, it's the sort of thing where you look back on it in like a couple of years and it's like, well, nobody plays those cards anymore and nobody cares about those combo lines and whatever. But that is just kind of how the game functions as well. So not the end of the world. So I really do like, I think that Head Leads the Tail is like one of my favorite implementations of the sort of the new world order that they're implementing for combo. It's really neat.
For Be Like Water, I think it's super cool that they are, and this is just for Outsiders in general of what we've seen. Outsiders is the 9th Flesh and Blood set, and we are still getting direct support for cards from the 1st Flesh and Blood set. The fact that we're getting support for stuff like Head Jab and Surging Strike and all that is really cool. And I think they're leaning into the fact that it's a non-rotating game, right? Like rotating game couldn't do this, right, without reprinting all the cards or whatever. Then they might get reprinted in the set, but either way, the fact that they're like their support for like cards in the 1st set that are in the 9th set, I think is like super cool.
They're still acknowledging the past, but also just building upon it as well, aren't they? And just smoothing it over for not only the draft, but also future proofing it as well, as you said, Bill. So they're revisiting it, but also enhancing it at the same time, which is nice.
Yeah.
I'm also very intrigued that something that I've just skipped over basically every time is that it also says Twin Twisters. So implying that there's going to be some combo card that cares about Twin Twisters, which currently there aren't any, to my knowledge. So interesting that that kind of gives us, I think, the combo lines, like that these are the 3 that are maybe being either iterated on or improved in some way. So we might see another, because the combo line for Head Jab doesn't really get seen, as far as I'm aware, because it's like,
well, it's the Katsu, it's the Katsu line, right? So
Oh wait, yeah. Is it the
Because there's the punch. So in Welcome to Right, there's the punch combo line and the kick combo line, and I think the punch combo line is the one that ends with Lord of Wind, right? Because it's like, oh no, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, because that goes to open the center, which then goes to either Flusterfist or Pounding Gale.
Yeah.
Which Flusterfist does get played a ton, but because it's a 0 for 3, or 0 for 2 in blue, that just turns on Kodachis and has combo.
Let's see.
I would be very excited to see them iterate on this combo line then, because once again, because I don't know, I kind of stumbled through that, but the head jab combo line is head jab, open the center, fluster fist, and then also a separate finisher is pounding gale.
Yeah.
I would love to see pounding gale be like an effective card because it has just very unique text and is just supremely aggressive. And it's if open the center was the last attack this combat chain, pounding gale gains. If this would deal damage to a hero, instead it deals double that damage, and it's a 1 for 5.
Ah.
So that could be.
So
I've never seen that card before.
actually, kind of interesting to note, because this is in direct contention then with the Dishonor. So Dishonor is actually part of, well, sort of the Katsu line. So Katsu's combo line is actually Surging Strike. It's Surging Strike, Whelming Gust Wave, Mugenshi Release, Lord of Wind. And so the Dishonor line is kind of like, I guess you could say like the dark version of it, because it does have like the other Gust Wave, like the Descendant Gust Wave. So instead of Whelming Gust Wave, you have Descendant Gust Wave. So both have Surging Strike, and then it's whether you go for Whelming Gust Wave or Descendant Gust Wave. And then they have two follow-ups, either the Ancestry or Mugenshi Release, which is interesting. I kind of wonder. I was kind of wondering this, but I guess we might not see Katsu's combo line, like, and his specialization. We'll probably just see the Dishonor line kind of like take it over.
Yeah. Which is I will say I do love Lord of Wind though as a line. It's so satisfying to get it off and be like, okay, I'm gonna do all these things, and then I'm gonna come in with this Lord of Wind, and I'm gonna pitch these other 2 Lord of Winds that I tutored up off of the Mugenshi release, and this is coming in for 10.
Yeah, it's nice. I will also say, just because we talked about limited, I think Be Like Water is like really good for limited. Probably it's probably gonna be like a absolute like high tier pick for like a common ninja card.
No, I totally agree, because you are going to need your combo pieces, and this is one of each, depending on what you need. So that's just a really high value pick. It's basically like you're picking 3 cards.
Yep. So like,
not really, but
like if all 3 combo lines are in the set, right? Like this is going to be like a really high pick to keep open, right? Because like you'll pick this card, and then you'll be like, okay, I'm going to probably be playing Ninja, but I can kind of be open a little bit on what combo lines I want to pick or whatever, or focus on. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to drafting. I thought Uprising Draft was a lot of fun, but this is gonna be so cool. 6 heroes.
God, yeah.
We already know there's gonna be split cards in the set. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm really the card that I'm holding out for right now still is the Codex of Bloodrot.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
I am so interested to see what it's going to be. My meme of like both players make 20 Bloodrot Pox tokens is lofty, I'll say. Maybe not super realistic, but it makes me feel good about myself. So but yeah, I think that's probably just about all that we really had on the docket today. Do either of you fine gentlemen have anything else that you'd like to add for spoilers?
I think that's it. It was just like these 4 cards. Oh, we can talk a little bit about your opinions on Worlds, because like that's one thing that James did mention. He talked about Worlds in the interview, and I don't remember if this is a part that we from this part of the podcast or the scrapped podcast.
I think it was the pre.
But either way, a quick recap. James talked a little bit about Worlds in his interview, and he said that is like the event that they're focusing the most on this year, which makes a lot of sense. It's Worlds, and we now know that it's going, not from the interview, but we know that it's going to be in Europe, right? So this is something we talked about in the last episode with Iain. We know that Worlds is going to be in Europe. The actual location is going to be announced at Pro Tour Baltimore during the player reception.
Mm-hmm.
So we guessed a little bit on the last week's podcast where it could be. Some folks might think like Poland because there's a big Polish community. I was thinking like it could also be Spain because Spain has a big Polish or a big Flesh and Blood community. But Jim from FAB TCG Cards suggested that it could be a more Central European hub, like Vienna or Amsterdam. Do you say Amsterdam and Vienna?
Vienna and Munich.
Munich, and I think those are both like pretty likely actually. Like when you look.
Well, James like mentioned Vienna in the interview as well. Like I don't know whether he meant to, but he did say Austria as well. So
he said it in relation to having people on the ground. So he said like
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like so I know that one of the big organized play people who live outside of New Zealand actually lives in Portland here. But he also said there was one in Vienna. He specifically said Vienna. So,
that's it. Yeah.
We'll see. But like, what are your thoughts on this, Bill? We talked about it all last episode, but
I am so I'm so excited for Worlds to be in Europe. Like when it was first revealed, I know Az was probably like, "Yeah, let's go, baby! You don't have to fly all the way over the ocean this time." But I have only been to Europe, I think, one time in my life. So it's a place that I just haven't had the opportunity to visit, to go and see. So I'm very specifically going to be like saving up and booking off time to make my way there. I will be there. I'm making it happen.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Me too. I need to really get my passport all settled. But we were talking with Iain a little bit. I don't remember if this was on the podcast or not, or just afterwards. But we were like, what if we all arrived maybe like a week or so early before Worlds, maybe flew all into the UK, met up with our buddy Az here, and then
the Swindon International Airport.
Yeah, I said the Swindon International Airport. But for real though, like actually fly to like London or whatever, and then go visit Az, and then from there, like take a car and then just drive to wherever it is, like Vienna or whatever, and make like a Euro trip out of it, and just kind of like make it into like a week, right? Or however long it would be, because I know you can go from UK to like France, right? There's like an underground or underwater.
There is,
you can do.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
So like it's like a thing you could do. We could fly into the UK and then just like travel to the Flesh and Blood event and like see Europe or something. Like I think that would be super cool, like, and so much fun.
Yeah, so I mean, as soon as it gets announced, we can start obviously speaking about what the plan could be, and then go from there. But yeah,
but the general idea is to like, I want to at least get there like a week or so. Like I want to have like a buffer week either way, before or after, so like we can like enjoy and like make it into like a touristy thing.
Oh god, yeah, exactly.
Hell, man, if I'm spending like $1,000+ on plane tickets, I'm gonna try to enjoy, make the most out of it.
That's right. Yeah.
It for me depends on when Worlds is. It might have to be after Worlds and not before Worlds, because my anniversary with Robin is on the 10th, and I know it's going to be in November. So if it's like, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm going. I'm going no matter what. This is like the thing that I'm going to be doing, like event wise, for Flesh and Blood. I'm going to be saving up for it. It's going to be really expensive, but I'm gonna try to save several $1,000s and make it into the thing.
I'm definitely on the same page here. This is going to be my big vacation for this year.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm going to be making it a good one for sure.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome, guys. Like, just imagine like 3 of us in like a nice pub or something in Vienna, like drinking some nice nice beers. Like, it's gonna be great, dude.
This is when we open the Living Legends crowdfunding campaign, right?
Please
So
send us to Europe.
Do for our our tiers, like the celebration tiers or whatever based on the funding we get. We can just do varying types of shoeys.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
God.
different shoeys in different locations.
Donate $150, we'll do a shoey out of your shoe.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, I don't wanna
Easily,
do-
yeah, that's yeah, I'll do that easy.
I've had some very close friends with like bad feet problems, right? They've got
It's
like
all good.
they had to get like the defungal stuff. Like, we're talking like
Ooh.
college roommates. Like, they
Yeah.
take off the shoe and it's like boom. So I'm like,
Extra flavor.
From SpongeBob, where there's the green fog and the
Oh yeah. Yeah.
oh, that's like spot on, man.
Brilliant.
So a little wary on that, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
everybody's got a price.
Exactly. Yeah.
How many zeros would I?
Couple of bucks for a shoey out of a stranger's shoe for me.
All right, Az is setting the bar pretty low. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna go
as long as you buy the drink.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, easy done.
One of us has to be a cheapskate, scraping off someone else's shoe for a couple of dollars.
Please, sir.
Oh,
Can I drink from your shoe?
Please.
please, sir, I want some more shoeys.
Yes, please.
Oh no.
That's what Oliver Twist was about.
Absolutely.
We are now
degenerates.
well and truly in the weeds.
Absolutely
which,
degenerate.
If we weren't, this wouldn't be an episode. So
That's true.
Exactly.
This has been an adventure. This has been
Yeah.
an adventure. All from the audio problems to the talks about shoeys from the listeners. Like,
Oh yeah.
this is a ride.
For anybody who's still listening here, comment below without the additional context, so that you can be part of the exclusive club of people who made it this far. Tell us down below how much you would charge for a shoey.
So how much they would take to do the shoey? You mean that sort of thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how much you would have to pay them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much would you have to be paid to do a shoey out of a random person's shoe?
Oh, God.
That's it. There we are.
For me, it'd be kind of a lot, probably. But
You think?
yeah,
I mean,
kind of.
I don't disagree with you. Is the thing.
How much do I need the money? It's all context. It's all context, right?
Yeah. Everybody has a price.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Yeah, maybe if I don't raise enough money to go to Europe, I'll be like, Chewy,
Exactly.
Chewy, $500. Let's go.
Yeah. Living Legends shoey Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah. But I mean, like, the world's gonna be awesome. It's end of the year.
Yeah.
We know it's gonna be in August. And I hope to see a lot of the folks out there. Like, I've been to a lot of events here in the U.S. This will actually be my first time going to Europe, like, at all. In fact, this will be my first time leaving the U.S. at all. I've traveled quite a lot in the U.S. The U.S. is a big country, but I've never actually left the U.S. So this will be my first time, and it's gonna be fun.
That's the thing about US though, isn't it? It's so varied. There's such a massive country that you can experience a lot of different climates and things while in there. So it makes sense as to why people wouldn't really leave if they can experience everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, and there's also, like, I haven't had a bunch of reasons to leave, and I haven't had the opportunity to do so. Because, like, Robin and I, like, we work a lot. Even before I did content full time, we work a lot. We don't have a lot of time to do that, and this is just the perfect opportunity and excuse to go to Europe. And next year,
Absolutely.
it'll be my perfect excuse to go to Japan. Like first calling in Japan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. Like I'm really gonna try.
Exactly.
And once again, for that, I want to make it into a thing, and like, maybe spend a week in Japan and kind of travel around and.
Oh, it has to be done. Yeah, if going that far.
Gotta
just the best way to do it.
Gotta go visit
Yeah.
all the Flesh and Blood players in Osaka and Okinawa. Gotta go to. I kind of want to go like to like even like the less traveled parts to like Hokkaido, like up in the snowier areas like Hokkaido and yeah. There's so much stuff. Like there's a thing that James White said, or maybe it's just a Legend Story Studios things where they said like play the game, see the world, and that's true to some degree. It's expensive, right? It's really expensive, and even the people who are like winning the events, like you gotta be like winning like top 4 plus to actually like pay for the travel to a lot of these places. But I think it's still fun to do it in moderation as you can afford it, and for me, it's like but for fun, it's like a once a year thing for me right now.
Yeah. Well, like this one will be the first Flesh and Blood event that I've been to that isn't a local event. So
wow, what a step up that is.
Yeah.
Worlds in Europe. Your first event.
That actually is kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for it though, because I'm going to assume and I'm going to hope that there are going to be a lot of, like big names in the Flesh and Blood community that are going to make their way out there.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully it'll be the first time I get to meet a bunch of these people.
Right.
That, I've interacted with online but never seen in person. So that would be looking forward to that too.
Yeah. I mean, that's my favorite part about these events. I almost never play in the main event. It's all about like hanging out with the community, experiencing the side events, talking with the artists, all of that great stuff. And that's probably going to be the plan for Worlds as well.
Yep.
Yeah, just going to be doing.
And by then, as well, by that time as well, you will all have, because I've now shipped the Living Legends playmats to you both. So when we do a team sealed or something, we can just all bring out those mats and just be like, Team LL Pod.
That's a
challenge us.
I'm always still thinking about getting some art commissioned for the Living Legends podcast. And thinking about doing like a Kickstarter or something like that to get some art done for us. Because I still think it'd be really, really cool to have like a Flesh and Blood artist draw like us on a playmat as our favorite classes or whatever, or like their interpretation of us as like Az would be like a rune blade or a ranger. I'd be like an assassin. Bill could be like a ninja or maybe an illusionist. And
just
like
Prism, just me.
Yeah.
Imagine that done by like Sam Yang or like like just any Flesh and Blood artist. Speaking of Sam, he's also going to be coming on the podcast post Outsiders. So
we're gonna have some really really great guests coming on for this year. It sounds like Kel has been doing a lot of footwork and interacting with notable names in the Flesh and Blood community. So we're gonna have some very interesting perspectives and takes.
As one of the most watched and listened to Flesh and Blood podcasts, Living Legends is of the utmost professional quality. No, so like
all three of us are absolutely marinated in professionalism.
They really are, yeah.
But I mean, seriously though, thank you to everyone who listens to and watches the podcast. We have grown to be one of the bigger podcasts in like 36, 7, but less than 40 episodes. We're approaching 40 at this point, and I really love talking to folks from Legend Story Studios and who work on Flesh and Blood, and I think it's true to the ethos of this program that we talk about all aspects of the Flesh and Blood trading card game, and I think it's important to get the perspectives and knowledge from all aspects of the people who work on the game too. So we have Sam Yang for art, Joshua Scott for like judging and rules. We've already talked with Chris Bewley from the content creation side thing. Maybe we'll get Alex on here to talk about his perspectives on that as well. I would like I think it'd be interesting to get Alex's perspective maybe post Outsiders, or maybe even post the next set. So he'll have done 2 sets worth of like preview and content creator work.
Yeah.
We got Alan Hale from Organized Play, and we'd like to get James White on at some point as well to talk about some stuff. And then I think our first guest outside of LSS might be the Professor. So stay tuned for that if you want to hear the Professor talk about Flesh and Blood, and which will probably be soon. Like he's agreed to come on at any point. He literally told me, he's like, whenever you want. So when the time is right, Prof will be on here. We'll talk about Flesh and Blood. And
Fantastic.
We know that Prof has a project with LSS that was announced at Worlds.
Maybe we can get some sneaky tidbits from the Professor himself.
I don't know if he'd give us anything, but I think it'd be interesting to have him on after it's announced, like after we know what it is, and then he could talk about it. So, yeah. But it could be cool to get him on before that too, if that's like a later thing. So stay tuned.
Well, stay tuned. Absolutely.
Your go-to source for all aspects of the Flesh and Blood trading card game.
That's us. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of us, who are we? I am Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can find me on Twitter at BillTSF, as well as on YouTube under Spike Feeders FAB. That is Spike Feeders FAB. We do live gameplay content. We are going to be coming out with another gauntlet shortly, I believe. I might have to film one for us to be able to promise that, but we will be having another one come out, shortly. I will throw it over alphabetically to Az, my good friend, Az.
Yes. So my name's Az from Goarin Gaming, also known as Aaron in other places. Oh my God, he has a different name.
What? I didn't know this.
Oh my God, you heard it here first. His name isn't Az. He's been lying.
Yeah, he's been lying this entire time. But yeah. So from Goarin Gaming on YouTube and Goarin Gaming AZ on Twitter. That's it really. Go and have a look. See if you like it. If you don't, fuck it.
Yeah. If you don't, you should follow him anyway.
I mean, he's gonna spoil like a legendary quiver like next week, so you should probably like follow him for that. Like at least, come on. What are you doing?
Yeah, go and do it. Over to you.
Hi.
Yeah, my other good friend, Kel.
My name is Kel, also known as Red Zone Rogue. You can find me at Red Zone Rogue everywhere. YouTube.com/Red Zone Rogue, Twitter.com/Red Zone Rogue, and then like Facebook and the Instagram or whatever. I like Flesh and Blood. I talk about it a lot, so that's I talk about other card games too, but mostly Flesh and Blood. And if you're watching this and you're not following me on like YouTube for some reason, you definitely want to watch my preview video for Outsiders.
Absolutely.
Just saying, you'll want to watch it, and also Az's, and also Bill's.
Yeah, they're all going to be bangers.
Bill's brother showed me like a little thing, and it looks cool. Like if you like their other stuff, you'll like this one. And
fantastic.
I mean, like, and then Az is like second spoiler ever. He's got a legendary already, man. Look at this man. Like,
yeah.
I haven't even spoiled the legendary yet. He's got second one in legendary. First one was a Marvel. Second one's a legendary. Look at this man. He's gonna overtake. He's gonna overtake us all.
I was gonna say this is our second common in a row, because I will say that we did get a common, but we didn't actually in a row. Our last one was Cryptic Crossing. So
okay, well, you know what's great about commons is that they are most of the time key draft cards, and are likely to be more played than some Majestics. Just kind of like overall, especially if the Majestic's like a weird janky Majestic. Like, I spoiled Mutated Mass. I will bet you money that your card is probably going to be played more than Mutated Mass. Just saying.
Just imagine when that card becomes playable.
It's a weird card. It's a crazy weird card. So
it really is.
It is one of the cards that like eventually someday could be like busted, but right now it's just like
Mutated Mass certainly is one of the Flesh and Blood cards of all time.
It really is. It is a card, yeah.
It certainly is a Shadow Majestic.
It is a card, yeah.
With variable attack and defense.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get out of here.
That will do it for us for this week. Thank y'all, as always, for hosting with me, as well as you, the listener/viewer at home, for hanging out with us. We always appreciate it. Feel free to follow us on our social medias and tune in for our next episode, which will be us going over all of the cards. Well, the ones that we find interesting, at least. Of Outsiders. So be sure to tune in for that because it's going to be a really good one. Until then, stay well and stay safe.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Cheers.